ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुमितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. Quick announcements that Kartik month is coming up from October 8th. And whatever devotional services you do during the month of Kartik carries 1,000 times more benefit. So I generally chant one extra round besides the required 16 rounds and try to read more, try to do some devotional service, whatever comes to our end. And there is an opportunity if somebody wants to donate. So our dear Dwarkanath Prabhu from Toronto Temple has a friend at Govardhan Hill who distributes prasadam for free. So if anyone is interested to donate Lakshmi to our dear Dwarkanath Prabhu's friend, can let me know and I can send you the banking details for this devotee at Govardhan Hill. I have already done the transfer to just to validate, although there was no reason to validate. So any one of you, there's no compulsion. I'm just giving you an opportunity that is available. All right. The other point that I want to highlight is that you all have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam quite well. So at batch 5, one of the devotee from batch 5, not one, but multiple devotees from batch 5, inquired in their offline discussion groups, how do we read Srimad Bhagavatam purports? Like, what are we trying to focus on? So on next Sunday, which is 5th of October, most likely I will answer this question at a class. It will be a detailed answer. So you can attend that batch 5 class on October 5th. The batch 5 class is immediately after this class is 9:30 a.m. Toronto time. Or you can listen to the recording. So next class at batch 5 is just going to be inquiries that I will answer all the inquiries. It's just so many inquiries are piled up that the entire 2 hour session is going to be inquiries. I'm pretty sure I'm going to try to answer that inquiry as well in terms of how to read Srila Prabhupada's purports specifically for Bhagavatam and what exactly you have to focus on. So it's a very important inquiry that this devotee has asked. And you all have been reading properly. Nothing wrong with what you are doing. It's just an additional help. Any questions, comments, realizations? Again, there is no pressure to join the batch 5 class. You can always listen to recording and just fast forward to where this inquiry gets discussed, which I will anyway mention. Archana.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is very great. Means the question they ask. Yeah, I'll join for that one, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. All right. Rest of you, there's no pressure again. You can just listen to the recording, so you will know how to read Srila Prabhupada's purports, specifically for Bhagavatam. All right. So today we will cover Nectar of Instruction, text number 7 and 8. Nitya is going to present through her recording text number 7, and then Nayan Prabhu is going to present text number 8. So let's first hear from Nitya. I will play her recording, then we'll read, then we'll get to Nayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, seeking permission from all assembled devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna to speak Nectar of Instruction, Text 7 today. Please forgive me for my shortcomings. Text 7, the essence and theme is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the single most important verse in the Nectar of Instruction to sustain us in sadhana bhakti. The translation reads, the holy name, character, pastimes, and activity of Lord Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. The disease metaphor is discussed in the purport. Avidya or ignorance is the disease of the conditioned soul. The symptoms, the root cause, cure, and what is beyond cure and happiness is discussed. A person who has jaundice cannot relish the taste of sugar candy and considers it to be bitter. Similarly, when one takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is in a diseased condition. The healthy state is lost when one forgets that he is an eternal servitor of Lord Krishna and is under the influence of Maya. The world of Maya is called Durasraya, which means the false or bad shelter, and it's very difficult to be released from Maya's influence. Avidya or ignorance provides the foundation of ahankara or false ego within the heart. Scriptures tell you, work to keep things stable, but focus on spiritual advancement. You are a soul. There is individual ignorance, and then there is collective ignorance. The current leaders in our society are atheists, materialistic, with no time for spirituality. In such a condition, people are not enthusiastic to receive the Krishna conscious movement, just as a diseased person cannot enjoy the sweet taste of sugar candy. The cure for this disease is to chant attentively the holy name of God. ISKCON is a spiritual hospital to cure all of us. There are 3 stages in chanting. The offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. A neophyte generally commits many offenses, but as he purifies his chanting with less offenses, he can attain the stage of pure chanting, called Bhava Mahattavani Nirvapanam, and is liberated and can relish the taste of transcendental life. What lies beyond this cure? Spiritual happiness. There is a brief overview of the 9 stages of bhakti. One begins with Shraddha, the beginning of faith, which leads to sadhu sangha, devotee association, performance of devotional services, bhajana kriya, that purifies one's anarthas, anartha nivriti, leads to deep found faith, nischaya, and then to a taste of devotional service, ruchi, leading to fixed in devotional services, asakti, and then the awakening of bhava bhakti, and finally prema bhakti. Bhava bhakti is the softening of one's heart when one is in ecstasy performing the devotional services, and this awakens one's dormant love for Lord Krishna. one loses interest in the bodily concept of life, including all material opulences, attractions, being established in his eternal Swarupa relationship with Lord Krishna. And then there is spiritual happiness, when one gives up the lower taste and moves to higher tastes. The material world is a womb of misery, and sense gratification is a false currency traded in the stock market of the material world. One has to accept that his current condition is diseased due to the material desires. What is the treatment? Devotional service and chanting. And what is the cure? Attainment of spiritual happiness. It begins with the conviction that material pleasures lead only to misery. That leads to a commitment to chanting and devotional service, and that will help one attain the goal for purification. Lord Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya to darkness. Where there is light, there is no darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the influence of Maya, the darkness, will immediately vanish. Bhakti is one's path and goal. Chanting is your path and goal. Thank you.
Any questions, comments, realizations for Nitya?
It was a nice presentation, Prabhuji. Very good flow of presentation.
Okay, yes. Rest of you. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay.
She presented in a very calm and controlled manner, which is it's a learning for me how to present presentation. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we are here to learn from each other. Very good. Okay. So let me quickly present nectar of instruction text number 7, and then we will read. Although Nitya has done a very good, concise presentation of nectar of instruction text number 7. Text number 7, nectar of instruction, is among the most important verses, is fundamental text, is talking about chanting the holy name is the essence. Text number 7 is the single most important verse that can sustain us in the process of sadhana bhakti. The theme of nectar of instruction text number 7 is the disease metaphor. And the 5 stages in the disease metaphor is that first is the symptoms of the disease, second, the cause of the disease, third is the cure, fourth is beyond the cure, and fifth is happiness. So first, the symptoms of the disease. From the symptom, go to the root cause. Just as when you go to a doctor saying, I have pain, the doctor does not give you a painkiller. Rather, the doctor will first do some tests to determine what is the root cause so that he can cure the disease at the root. So our root cause is, or at least my root cause is, that I don't have taste for the holy name, the fame, name of Krishna, etc. I don't find Krishna consciousness relishable. These are symptoms. The root cause is the misdirection of my desires to wanting to enjoy the material world because of avidya, ignorance. So avidya, ignorance, misdirection of desires, this is the root cause and is visible as symptoms that I don't have any taste for holy name. Therefore, I am just chanting just to put a tick mark. Second, what is the cause of the disease? There are two ways. There is individual ignorance, which leads to forgetfulness of the fact that Jiver Swarupa Hoye Nitya Krishna Das. The eternal Swarupa of a Jiva is to serve the eternal Master Lord Sri Krishna. The soul loses this position because the soul forgets Krishna. Our hunger for happiness will need to be fulfilled somewhere else. If I cannot get happiness in Krishna, resulting in Maya catching the soul. The grip of those past impressions, past enjoying impressions, becomes stronger because of further indulgence. Hence, it becomes very difficult to be released. This is how my disease increases. Therefore, scriptures tell us, work whatever is required at the level of duty to try to keep things materially stable. Simultaneously, focus your energy on spiritual advancement more and more and more. Another cause of the disease is the collective ignorance. The atheistic leaders, today's these atheistic leaders, they don't care for God at all. Collective cause is that there is overall culture of materialism and atheism which bombards people and leaves them with no time, no energy, no inclination to turn wholeheartedly towards spirituality. Why people don't have taste for chanting of the holy names? First is, there is individual cause for not having taste, and second, there is collective cause for not having the taste. Third is, what's the cure? The cure is the chanting of the holy name. We have to chant attentively. Chanting is the process to purify ourselves. Chanting is easy because does not require any gymnastics, heavy exercise, etc. You can chant anywhere at any time. Neither does chanting require the gruesome Ashtanga Yoga and Gyan Yoga processes that have to be done very rigidly for decades and thousands of years. And we get the cure at ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada says, ISKCON is like the spiritual hospital to cure all of us. And even if right now I am not able to chant attentively, I should still continue to chant because my current level of chanting, no matter how inattentive it is, that inattentive chanting is going to lead me to attentive chanting at some point of time. But if I stop chanting, then I will never be cured. Fourth point is beyond the cure. Coming to bhava stage means one is already healed. Means one has started to experience spiritual emotions. Srila Prabhupada calls this equivalent to awakening of the dormant love of Godhead. This Bhava stage is characterized with the symptoms of no bodily concept of life left anymore. I realize I am not this body, I am a soul. And I have to serve Krishna as the soul. I have to eternally serve Krishna. Right now, I may understand theoretically that I am not this body, but at bhava stage, one has no connection with body at all. One understands I have eternal Swarupa and I have eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, one is not disturbed by Maya. And then the last point is happiness. I have to give up lower taste and move towards higher taste. Material happiness is limited, and body's capacity to enjoy decreases. Material happiness is false and temporary. Senses, sense objects are temporary. Therefore, whatever pleasure will come through the senses will also be temporary. So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 5.22 the false currency that keeps us moving in the stock exchange of illusion. So the false currency is the sense enjoyment. And the stock exchange of illusion is the material world. That the false currency means sense enjoyment keeps us moving in the stock exchange of illusion, which is the material world. Most people think I don't get pleasure because objects are not good enough. But the fact is, even if we had the best object, still our capacity to enjoy is limited. We cannot expand body's capacity to enjoy. So what's the solution? The way out is spiritual happiness. In Bhagavad Gita 6.28, Krishna says, we get spiritual happiness by contact with Supreme Absolute Truth. The spiritual happiness comes not just by physical contact, example, say touching the lotus feet. Rather, the spiritual happiness comes by service. When we chant with service attitude, that's when we experience higher happiness of Krishna consciousness. While chanting, the soul is trying to contact Krishna. If I am not attentive, then my soul is not contacting Krishna. Therefore, my chanting will appear like a burden. Now the question is, how do we proceed in pursuing this happiness? One of the important things is to recognize that my current condition is diseased condition. And conviction for this diseased condition means we philosophically understand clearly that material pleasure will lead me to misery. Therefore, I don't want to go on this material pleasure route. Plus, I also understand that spiritual happiness may seem poison at the start, but will be nectar in the end. Therefore, I will pursue the spiritual happiness route. Commitment ensures that we keep practicing no matter what. Conviction alone won't help, but combined with commitment will lead to the cure. If I stop studying scriptures and philosophy, then my impetus to chant and impetus to connect with Krishna goes down. Therefore, no matter how difficult spirituality may seem at right now at the start, may seem as poison right now at my starting phase, I still should continue. Because by continuing the process is how my purification will happen. That's a quick summary of text number 7. Questions, comments, realizations?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I got a takeaway from this presentation, which is material pleasure lead me to misery. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very good.
Very good. Thank you for listening with rapt attention. All right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you said so well that in the beginning it's feel like a poison. Yeah, it's very true, Prabhuji. Whenever it is presentation, it's feel like, oh my God, we have to do presentation.
Yeah. You all are going to get saturated by presentations for doing so many presentations, correct? Archana, everybody, you are all going to get saturated by doing presentations.
Yes, Prabhu.
But understand the benefit, right? Like we have been doing presentations. So if you recall Bhagavad Gita, you take, say, 10 minutes for each chapter and 18 chapters. It's like in about 2 to 3 hours, if you have to revise at some point of time, in 2 to 3 hours, you'll be able to revise the entire Bhagavad Gita and refresh, right? Same way, we have so many texts. If you just listen to this 10-minute presentation of each of this nectar of instruction text, then in such a short time, it will all come back to you every time you forget, because I have Kali Yuga memory, I keep forgetting. Matan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, is material pleasure a sin?
So material pleasure is not sin per se, but it keeps you bound in the material world. Right? It's against your devotional path. Yeah, we are in the material world because we desired to enjoy the material world. So if you compare with your spiritual path, it is material pleasure is against your spiritual path. On itself is not sin. Of course, there are sinful activities also within the material world, and there are pious activities also. But you have to understand that material pleasure keeps you bound in this darkness and does not let you go back home, back to Godhead. Means material pleasure is against your spiritual path, is against the soul's eternal nature to be happy, because there's no happiness in the material. Madan Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's start reading. Vimal Prabhu will start today. So Vimal Prabhu will read text number 7 translation plus paragraph number 1, which starts Lord Krishna's holy name, and plus read paragraph number 2, when a man in the material world.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 7 translation. The holy name, characters, pastime, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one affiliated by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Purport. Lord Krishna holy name, qualities, pastime, and so forth are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Sense, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious bilious sectarians attacked by jaundice. The tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with the jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendentally palatable name, qualities, form, form and pastime of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna transcendental pastime, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of the life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a disease condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord, Jiva Swarupa Haya, Krishna Nitya Dasa. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the eternal features of Krishna Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durasura, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durasura becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way due to their nuisance, they cannot understand their mistake. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Priyanka will read paragraphs 3, 4, and 5. So paragraph 3 is this Krishna conscious movement. Then paragraph 4 starts, such people never surrender to Krishna. And paragraph 5 is the real disease is in the heart.
Hare Krishna. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among men. Bhagavad Gita, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest amongst mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Bhagavad Gita 7.15. Such people never surrender to Krishna, excuse me, and they oppose to endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's shelter. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nescience. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna consciousness movement, just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness and the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world all right. World at all right. All right. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankara, a false ego within the heart. Hare.
Can I read the fifth paragraph also? The real disease is in the heart.
Yes, Devi. The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Mathan Prabhu, so paragraph number 6, 7, 8. Paragraph 6 is there are 3 stages in chanting the holy name. Paragraph 7 is the conclusion is that in order to get free. And paragraph 8, if one is sincere, he is initiated.
Hare Krishna. There are 3 stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord: the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the poor stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if devotee avoids these, he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between offensive chanting and poor chanting. When attains the poor stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Pava Maha Tavakni Nirvarpanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can release the taste of transcendental life. The conclusion is that in order to get freed from material disease, one must take to chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to a chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtana parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Only a few days after hearing the mantra, this may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxicants, meat eating, and gambling. By Bhajana Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to the restaurants or hotel to taste the so-called palatable dishes made with the meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex but avoids sex life entirely, nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anatta nivritti. The word anatta refers to unwanted things. Anattas are vacuous when one becomes attached to Krishna consciousness movement.
Very good. Malti, we read the last two paragraphs. Paragraph 9 is when a person is relieved from unwanted things, and paragraph 10, although Maya may be present. Malti. Malti, are you able to unmute? Right, Chandran Prabhu, paragraph number 9 and 10.
Hare Krishna. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of God. Thus, the conditional soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily conception of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what his Maya is. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the Bhava state. This is because the devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in a light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.31. Krishna, Suryan Sama, Maya, Haya, Andakara. Yahan Krishna, Tahan, Nahi, Mayara, Adhikara. Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy will immediately vanish. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, Mayank Prabhu, text number 8.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. I seek your blessings to speak on Nectar of Instruction, Text 8. Text 8 begins with the advice that one should always remember Krishna 24/7 by chanting and remembering Krishna's name, his form, qualities, and his pastimes. The process is to gradually engage the tongue and the mind and to live in the mood of Vrindavan by serving Krishna under the guidance of his devotees. By following in the footsteps of those who are deeply attached to him, one's life becomes completely Krishna-centered. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that the key point is to train the mind. The mind can either elevate us to Krishna or drag us down into material bondage. It carries countless impressions from this life and from many lifetimes, and these impressions often surface suddenly, creating contradictory desires. Because of this, the mind can be very dangerous if left uncontrolled. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 6, Krishna declares that yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate ante kalevaram tam tam evati kauntaya sada tad bhava bhavite. Whatever state of being one remembers at the time of death, that state he will attain without fail. This means if we remember Krishna, we go to Krishna, but if we remember something else, then our next life is shaped by that thought. But the mind is not reliable. His Grace Chaitanya Charandas Prabhu explains this with the acronym MIND, where M stands for magnifies problem. The mind makes small issues look huge, creating unnecessary anxiety. I stands for imagines pleasure. It fantasizes about material enjoyment, which contaminates the heart and can push one into wrong actions. N stands for neglects opportunities. Instead of valuing the chance to serving Krishna now, the mind gets stuck in the past or lost in the future. D stands for denies reality. It refuses to admit that the real problem lies within itself. Because of these tendencies, Srila Prabhupada advises us not to blindly trust the mind. Instead, we must weigh its demands against scripture. If they support bhakti, we accept them. If not, we reject them. Only then does the mind gradually becomes a true friend. But how do we train the mind and tongue? By directly engaging them in Krishna's service. The tongue should be used for chanting Krishna's holy names and honoring Krishna Prasadam. The mind should be absorbed in Krishna's qualities and pastimes. And when this practice is done in the association of devotees, the mind becomes more purified, steady, and joyful. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur explains that this absorption develops progressively. The first stage is Shravana Dasa, where one constantly hears Krishna Katha. From hearing, one comes to Varana Dasa, accepting Krishna within the heart. This leads to Smarana Avastha, remembrance. At first, remembrance is like small sparks coming and going. With practice, it deepens into meditation, then into steady absorption, then into constant remembrance, and finally into Anusmriti, unbroken remembrance. At the highest stage comes Samadhi, spiritual trance, where the soul clearly realizes its eternal relationship with Krishna. This final stage is called Sampati Dasa, the perfection of life. The Chaitanya Charamrita adds that those at the beginning should give up selfish desires and practice regulated devotional service. Gradually, this regulated service ripens into Raga Bhakti, spontaneous love for Krishna. At that stage, the devotee naturally follows the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, serving as a servant in Dasya Rasa, as a friend in Sakhya Rasa, as a parent in Vatsalya Rasa, or as a lover in Madhurya Rasa. Each rasa reflects a unique and eternal bond with the Lord. So, the essence of text 8 is to fully engage the mind and tongue in Krishna's service, to purify the heart step by step, and to live in the Vrindavan mood under the guidance of devotees. By such practice, one progresses from hearing to remembrance and ultimately towards spontaneous love for Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations for Mayank Prabhu?
Really thoroughly understood and very precisely presentation. Very nice.
Very good. Okay. Although Mayank Prabhu has also done a very good concise presentation, I will still do text number 8, brief summary. So text number 8 is on spontaneous devotional service in practice. Text number 8 completes the Upadesh, completes the instruction of Upadeshamrit to be completely engaged in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, text number 8 in Sanskrit ends with Iti Upadesh Saram. The essence of all advice is to be completely engaged in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada translates this Iti Upadesh Saram as full-time engagement. 24 hours a day engagement in devotional service, following in the footsteps of great Vrajavasis of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada first focuses on the mind, that we have to train the mind. Now, all of ISKCON's purposes involve changing the way people think and act, which is actually training the mind. So ISKCON is not primarily engaged in humanitarian effort, such as food relief, but primary purpose of ISKCON is to train the mind. Training of the mind is what essentially yoga is supposed to do. Training the mind means we get the mind to again become connected with Krishna. The first question is, why to train the mind? Because the mind can be either my friend or my enemy. Mind acts as enemy because of past impressions, external tempting objects, and or internally, suddenly desires come up. Either way, mind can be my enemy. And Srila Prabhupada calls this as a very dangerous situation. Srila Prabhupada says the law of the last thought determines where we go after this life, which is described in Bhagavad Gita 8.5 and 8.6. 8.5 says, if you remember Krishna at the time of death, then you will go to Krishna. And 8.6 says, if you do not remember Krishna, whatever else you will remember, that's what you will end up becoming. So what's the remedy? So get rid of those past impressions by doing devotional services. Otherwise, these past impressions will keep coming up, taking one away from Krishna. His Grace Chaitanya Chandas explains this very nicely with few punchline and acronyms. First he says, look at the mind before you look with the mind. Treat the mind as an untrusted outsider before you act on what the mind wants. When mind speaks something, first evaluate the credibility of mind's demands based on scriptures. Is this anukul for bhakti? If yes, I will do it. Otherwise, I will reject. Mind speaks lies in 4 major ways, or 4 major ways the mind troubles us, and is explained with the acronym MIND, mind. M stands for magnifies problems. Mind makes trouble bigger than it is. Overthinking makes the problem bigger than us. It makes us smaller because we think we cannot do anything about it. When going to God saying there is a big problem means I am problem conscious and not Krishna conscious. Therefore, don't tell God how big your problems are. Rather, tell the problems how big God is. Therefore, look at the mind before you look with the mind. Next in the acronym mind is I, imagines pleasure. Mind sees some object and mind goes into fantasy land. Whenever mind starts imagining pleasures, catch your mind, because those pleasures are sinful. Just the thoughts are going to contaminate us, and which may end up resulting in bad action. Then N stands for neglects opportunities. When mind is not in control, we either lament for past or fantasize for future. Neither is good. Therefore, we have to be in control of our mind. Nature of mind is that it makes us look at what we don't have and makes us dissatisfied. But we should not succumb to this. Right now, in my human form, I should focus on doing devotional service. And D stands for denies reality. Mind refuses to acknowledge that the problem is the mind itself. And important for sadhakas is to learn to control the mind. Many of you have practiced controlling the mind. I'm pretty sure it is an ongoing effort, at least for me. So this is the brilliant acronym and explanation given by His Grace Chaitanya Chandas with the mind acronym. Now, how to control the mind is by first recognizing that the mind is out of control. When we get the conviction that mind has been fooling us for at least 155 trillion years in this life cycle, then that conviction will take us to wanting to purify our mind. The more we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the more we study Srila Prabhupada's scriptures, the more we rise towards goodness, then we can catch the mind. How to control the mind is by practicing devotional service. Rupa Goswami recommends that we practice devotional service under a Vrajvasi, and we need role models. For us, text number 8, the third line says, Tat Anuragi Jan Anugami, means the role model for us is Srila Prabhupada or our living spiritual master. So both Srila Prabhupada and or our living spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is and was attracted to Krishna. Plus Srila Prabhupada enabled all of us to become attracted to Krishna. Through his actions, Srila Prabhupada exhibited the mood of selfless service. That is the essence of Vrindavan. Our spiritual master is not independent of Srila Prabhupada. Rather, our spiritual master is representing Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, Tat Anuragi Jan Anugami. The role model for us is Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual master. Now, what does it mean to live in Vrindavan? Do we all physically go and live in Vrindavan? The answer is, Vraja is not just a place. Rather, Vraja is the mood. The way we live in Vraja is not necessarily physically going to Vraja. But It is by internalizing the mood of selfless service, dedicating ourselves to fulfilling Krishna's mission, practicing and sharing Krishna's message. We can take a devotee out of Vrindavan, but we cannot take Vrindavan out of a devotee. Meaning, devotee's heart is always at Krishna's lotus feet, thinking about Krishna's message, Krishna's missions. These are also the ways in which we are thinking about Krishna also. When Srila Prabhupada came to New York, he did not leave Vrindavan. Rather, Srila Prabhupada carried Vrindavan in his heart, and Srila Prabhupada replicated Vrindavan at all these centers that Srila Prabhupada established. Srila Prabhupada established at least 108 Vrindavan dhams all over the world. The Upadesh Saram is Kramena, progressively. That progressively engage your tongue and mind in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of exalted devotee, imbibing the mood of Vrindavan. By this, one can attain perfection. This is brief summary of Nectar of Instruction text number 8, spontaneous devotional service in practice. Questions, comments, realizations? Archana will start reading. Archana will read the translation, text number 8 and paragraph number 1.
Hare Krishna. Text 8. Nectar of Instruction. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, is nicely chanting and remembering the Lord divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastime, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should recite the Vraja, Goloka, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotee. One should follow in the footsteps of a Lord beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Purport. Since the mind may be one enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna consciousness moment is especially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. The mind contains hundreds and thousands of impressions, not only of this life, but also of many, many lives of the past. These impressions sometimes come in a contact with one another and produce contradictory pictures. In this way, the mind function can become dangerous for a conditioned souls. Students of psychology are aware of the mind, various psychological changes. In the Bhagavad Gita 8.6, it said, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajate antakalayam tam tam eviti kunteya sada tad bhava bhavitava. Whatever state of being one remember when he quit his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Abhishek Prabhu, paragraph number 2, which starts at the time of death. Then paragraph number 3, again Srila Rupa Goswami states.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity create the subtle form of a certain type of body for the next life. If the mind suddenly thinks of something not very congenial, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one thinks of Krishna at the time of death, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan.
This process of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasad. Srila Rupa Goswami further advises, Tishthan Vraje. One should live in Vrindavan or any part of Vrajabhumi. Vrajabhumi or the land of Vrindavan is supposed to be 84 krosas in the area. 1 krosa equals 2 square miles. When one makes Vrindavan his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. This is further elucidated by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.294. Krishnam Smaranam Janam Chasya Preshtham Nija Samihitam Tat Tat Katha Ratas Chaso Kuryad Vasam Vraje Sada. A devotee should always reside in the transcendental realm of Vraja and always engage in Krishna Smaran Janam Chasya Preshtham, the remember of Sri Krishna and his beloved associates. By following in the footsteps of such associates and by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Srila Rupa Goswami states in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.295, Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya vraja lokanusarataha. In the transcendental realm of Vrajadhama, one should serve the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna with a feeling similar to that of his associates, and one should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna and should follow in his footsteps. This method is applicable both in the stage of sadhana, spiritual practices executed in the stage of bondage, and in the stage of sadhana, God realization, when one is Siddha Purusha or a spiritually perfect soul. Thank you.
All right. Mayank Prabhu, you can read from paragraph number 4. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented all the way to the end.
Hare Krishna. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravanadasa, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varnadasa. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later, remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called Anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing Anusmriti, one enters the stage of Samadhi or spiritual trance. After Smaranadasa or Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. This is called Sampatidasa, the perfection of life. Chaitanya Charamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kind of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti or devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous devotional service can be executed in the Santarasa when one aspires to be like Krishna's cow or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasya Rasa, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chit- Chitraka, Patraka, or Raktaka. In the friendly Sakya Rasa, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridama, or Sudama. In the Vatsalya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends, such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
Just a clarification. Is neophyte stage same as Kanishta Adhikari, or it's a different symptoms?
You are asking neophyte is different than Kanishta?
Same or different?
So there's a gray line. Neophyte is different, but Kanishta Adhikari is transitioning from neophyte to Kanishta. So at some point, the Kanishta Adhikari may have symptoms of both neophyte as well as Kanishta, although the neophyte will have uh, the symptoms like a pure materialistic. He's a starting person. The Kanishta, yes, he is transitioning, but he will always engage in new fight all the time. Therefore, he's a neophyte as well. Abhishek Prabhu.
So neophyte is like very beginning stages of devotion, but very lot of lot of material things are there.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So I will bring up on screen. So next week, we have text number 9, 10, and 11, Nectar of Instruction. Ritu is going to present text number 9, Matan Prabhu text number 10, and Sumnima text number 11. So I requested you all, so on the same link where you have Nectar of Instruction, I have added these tabs for the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1. Many of you have populated your names for the Unit 1 presentation. I request all of you to populate. Some have populated across various tabs. So you don't have to wait. You should just take up the slots as soon as is possible. There's potential for devotees from batch number 5 to also come for presentation. I'm going to explain to them today. They don't have to wait. We discussed that I don't have to send you reminders for picking your slot. So just pick it up. I explained at the start, and I'll repeat, some of you joined late. So Kartik month is coming up. So do additional devotional service for additional spiritual credits. And if you are interested in donating to our dear Dwarkanath Prabhu's friend, so he has his friend giving prasadam to those who do parikrama at Govardhan. So you are welcome to do it. There's no compulsion. If interested, you can get the banking details and information for the devotee at Govardhan from me. And I also explained that at batch number 5 on coming Sunday, which is 5th of October, the batch 5 classes are 9:30 a.m. Toronto time Sundays. I'll be explaining one of the questions from the devotee in terms of how to read Srila Prabhupada's purports, specifically Bhagavatam purports. So it's a detailed answer that I will give. You all have been reading properly. Yeah, I have, in the Bhagavatam classes, I have been only touching base important points. Everything is important, but I'm only touching base on few important points, and so that you get some taste, some understanding. I'm not touching on everything. Right? Touch on everything, you all will run away on day 2. So I'm going to explain what actually we have to do, and you can then judge for yourself that we are just skimming through Bhagavatam right now. We are not going in detail. All right. There are no further questions. We'll stop early today. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.